Hello there and welcome back. This is episode 2 of Portal to Horror. This time we're focusing on GermFood. No, not the bowl of maggots that David feeds to Michael in Lost Boys, but we're talking about GermFood, the indie horror game developer from the UK. A developer that publishes their games on itch.io, a fantastic website that allows independent creators to share their works with the world. So far, GermFood has 3 games available on itch: Superlooter, Fleshbirds, and Night of the Consumers. I have played all of these games previously, but recently I decided to play them in chronological order, one by one, to really get a feel of the progress that GermFood has made through these releases, and discuss with you why I think GermFood is definitely a developer that you should check out and is worth watching. Let's start off with the first game, Superlooter. A short but sweet, arcade-based high score chaser, where the goal is simple: steal the goods and avoid his gaze. You quickly learn that the objective of the game is to steal tomatoes from the backpack of a man without him noticing you. It's a 2D game where you use your mouse to control a disembodied arm. You use your left mouse button to grab the tomatoes and you release it to drop them. The game is surprisingly difficult. It's easy to get caught by the tomato man, and getting caught ends in a swift dismemberment. He cuts off your arm with one sweep of the blunt knife, leaving you to watch blood gush all over the game over screen. But don't worry, you can still have fun painting the screen red with your now bloody arm. What makes this game so memorable and visually eye-catching is the character design and the other assets that make up the screen. Everything from the text on screen to a single tomato is crafted in that distinctive GermFood style, a style that would follow through to GermFood's next release, Fleshbirds. Fleshbirds presents us with a memorable title. From the moment you launch the game, you're greeted with a stylistic and intriguing title screen, as the words Fleshbirds stretch across the screen in pixelated red, with an original piece of music. An ominous, creeping electronic sound bounds at you as the sound of birds cawing in the background blends in with the music. Press space to begin. GermFood gives us an opening cutscene, something you don't see that often in indie horror games. We're introduced to a PSX-style forest as a murder of killer crows swarm the night sky, and we even see a man get torn to shreds. And just like that, we're in the world of Fleshbirds. This time, GermFood gives us a first-person perspective as we are tasked with walking through the strange and ominous forest, cabin to cabin. The story progresses through notes that are left in each of the cabins and terrified NPC dialogue. The character models still have that distinct GermFood style from Superlooter. They are still 2D models, but they always rotate and face the player, giving that illusion of 3D. The main enemies you're going to encounter are the titular Fleshbirds, horrible, disgusting killer crows that will attack the player in numbers. You are given one weapon, a shovel, to try and fight off the Fleshbirds, but you will need to search for more shovels on your journey, as the shovels will break and degrade over time. Health is regenerated using blueberries that you can gather from shrubs. The movement feels smooth. You are able to look up and down freely and use WASD to move around. The game can feel quite punishing at times, because the Fleshbirds can take quite a bit of health and they can overwhelm you very easily. It's up to you to master the controls and time those shovel hits. The game even has an autosave feature that will trigger at every new cabin that you discover. Having this autosave feature might seem simple to you, but it shows great ingenuity by the developer GermFood. Able to understand the player's experience. Yes, the game is difficult. Yes, the game can be punishing. But at least GermFood recognizes this and gives the player that autosave feature. There's nothing worse than when a game is difficult and sends you all the way back to the beginning. There's even some really good jump scares in the game that can really take you by surprise if you're not ready. It's nothing obnoxious like FNAF, but it's subtle environmental scares that really get you. You eventually find a church deep in the forest. Just before you enter, you find a flamethrower. Changing your character's weapon from an easily broken shovel to an overpowered flamethrower, really making you feel like a badass. But the moment you enter the church, you trigger a boss fight. Yes, we even get a boss fight here. The boss is a huge demonic crow monster that really looks disgusting. A really cool character model that makes horrific noises. After the boss fight, we get a true horror ending to this game. One that ends in dread and misery, as our player character is murdered by a strange, ominous cult in the forest. But now that Fleshbirds is done, we move on to GermFood's next and most recent release, Night of the Consumers. Straight off the back, I want to say I love this game. And it's definitely the accumulation of all of GermFood's previous releases. Not only do we get 3D models for the characters in this game, but we get an entire superstore where all the assets have been crafted and individually created by GermFood. When you first boot up the game, you're greeted with a pretty funny disclaimer. Warning, this game contains a retail work environment. Player discretion is advised. There's no opening cutscene, but there is a beautifully created opening menu that pans back from silhouetted zombie-like creatures banging on a window to reveal the title screen, Night of the Consumers. We get this great piece of original music that feels retro-inspired and gives off B-movie horror film vibes. The transition from menu to game sees this pop art style consume the screen like teeth closing in on us. The controls feel very Doom-like, where you can't look up or down, you can only look left or right, and movement speed is quite fast. From the moment you talk to the manager and that music cues, you know that you're in for a unique time. Everything here feels distinctively GermFood. This game will grab you by the eyeballs and drag you in. Even the dialogue box seems unique, as this weird subliminal style pattern goes across it, and there's this sickly yellow color scheme all the way through the game. The game throws you into the shoes of an employee on their first day at work at a superstore in England. There's a small cutscene that sees you interacting with a current employee who vomits all over the floor and tells you to run for your life, and then gives you a survival guide, which basically explains all of the movement, the controls, and also your objectives to survive the game. And the objective of the game is quite simple. You need to stack shelves. You need to stack shelves with the right products, and you need to try and avoid the customers. The customers will roam the store looking for you, and if you're spotted, they'll run over to you and make a request. Now you've got two options here. You can either run away to one of the 4 employee-only rooms for safety, or you can throw a box at the customer in the hopes that you stun them momentarily. But be careful, if you're ever caught out in the open, you could trigger multiple customers to try and get your attention, and that would be bad news for you. What's really cool here is that the grabby disembodied arm from Superlooter, the first game that we mentioned, returns. That mechanic comes back when you're stacking the shelves, as you control the arm with your mouse, grabbing products and throwing them onto the shelves as quickly as possible. All of the customers are horrible to you. They chase you around the store, treating you like trash. And if you don't get their requests done in time, or maybe you take them to the incorrect area of the store too many times, the manager will be called and you will be fired, triggering a game over, making you start the day from the beginning. This is another game that is incredibly punishing, but really encourages you to master its gameplay mechanics, to remember the layout of the store. Persistence is key. And if you do manage to finish the game, it makes this giant statement about retail work and how they have trained you to be a good little worker. It's a great satirical comedy horror game that you don't really get much of. Horror comedy is really hard to do in movies and video games. This game is packed with just memorable moments that will have you shrieking and feeling all sorts of anxiety, especially if you have worked in retail before. This game even has an Easter egg that you can uncover. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but that's the level of detail that GermFood has put into this game. And don't get me started on the music. The music is so great. There are 3 stages of the workday, and the final push to try and get everything completed, they rev it up with this amazing piece of music that just makes you really want to get it done. You're almost replicating that feeling of almost getting the day of work done. Like, yes, I'm almost there. Come on, let's go. And that is it for GermFood, a truly talented indie developer that has gone strength to strength to strength, developing their own unique style and mastering mechanics, even bringing mechanics forward, bringing each new skill to the next release and building upon it and building to make a better experience. I am really impressed with GermFood. And I think you guys should go and support GermFood. They don't have a Patreon, they don't have a way for you to support them that way, but the best thing that you can do is go to their itch.io page. I'm gonna link it below. You can go and check out all of the games I've mentioned today. Pledge an amount to download the games. That is the best way to support GermFood as they continue to bring us these amazing experiences. And I'm really excited to see what they do next, like what their next project is going to be. I remember seeing on Twitter that GermFood was working on some DLC for Night of the Consumers, but that has disappeared from their bio. So maybe they're not working on it anymore. Maybe they could be working on something new. It's pure speculation at this point, but I do know that Dread X Collection 3 came out not too long ago, and they could be making Dread X Collection 4. I'm just saying, it would be really cool to see someone like GermFood contributing to that next collection if it does come out. It's not being confirmed or anything like that. Everybody wants it to happen, I'm very sure. Regardless, I'm still super excited to see what GermFood comes out with next. Well, that's the end of the video, everybody. My name is TheNetherNoose everywhere on the internet. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay amazing, stay unique, always be yourself. Don't let anybody put you down. And I'll see you in the next one. Now come over here. Come over here. Gah!